So I got the idea to write a mirror read book from an article I had read about Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland, who was able to mirror write. My goal was to take books into unusual places. I wanted to make reading into a game that I could play with the kids in my life. And there's a whole new kind of book that we can create when we use the mirror. What I discovered was when I was reading with a child on my lap, which is what's really fun about these books, as I was holding the book up to a mirror, I was connecting with the child in a really unique way.
I like the fact that we can instantly have eye contact.
Seems so much more connected to him, able to read to him in a way I've never read to him before.
The whole idea of connected reading is that when you're looking at somebody in a mirror, there's almost like this intermediary, it's a filter of sorts, and so we can look at each other in a mirror differently than we might look at them in the real world.
It seemed to be more intimate. It proved to me at some point too that he was actually reading along with me as well. I was quite impressed. It was really good to see. I think it really grabbed his attention because it challenged him.
Mirror reading is a more intimate experience than regular side-by-side reading because we were easily able to watch the child's eyes, and they can see us reading too. When we're reading a book in a mirror, we're more likely to have the experience of connection.
I felt we were closer together reading the book together, absolutely.
And that's interesting for the parent. Like often there's a lot of kids' books that we get tired of reading because we read them over and over and over again. And I found this really interesting for me.
There's something almost otherworldly about it. It's like being in a different dimension.
It's taking reading into the third dimension. In 3D reading, what we're able to do is take the book from its linear space and turn it into something that's more interactive. We can read with children, not just read to them.
It's a completely different experience. It feels like being kind of split into two different people. And I'm with him. I'm also the person in the mirror, and I feel like I'm looking at him from both perspectives. It's a really, really interesting experience. It makes for a much more enriching experience.
It's a fascinating way to read. It's something that I now experience as really warm, and I really look for it when I read in a mirror with a child. And what we're finding when we read in mirrors with kids is that it creates an opportunity for children to create interaction.
Mr. Peeve. They are a little dog. One of them is nice and soft.
Mirror reading experiences change over time. Children grow with mirror read books. Mirror read books are also for kids who don't yet know how to read. Mirror reading is interesting for regular readers and older children. It's even interesting for adults and elders.
I think it would be really fun for kids who are just breaking into reading.
It's good for kids of all ages.
He seemed to be really enjoying it. He's at the age where he's interested in the book itself. It gives the child a second perspective. Their brain can approach the page from a different perspective. Until you've actually done it, like sat down and read in the mirror, and at the same time you're able to make eye contact with your child and you're reading the page. It's a really, really interesting experience.
It's so interesting to read the text backwards. It's like a puzzle. I could feel myself being more alert in order to read it.
I think it's sort of like trying to figure out another kind of language.
Much in the same way that when we learn a second language, we understand that language is not just about the words, it can be about the concepts behind the words.
Subject matter was enthralling to him because he loves money machines and trucks and those kind of things.
I love the story too. The pictures are great. My son loves it because he loves trucks. He's constantly looking for trucks everywhere we go. It's easy to use with the mirror as well. It's brilliant.
Very hard to put into words, but it's a fascinating feeling. It's really quite unique, and I'd highly recommend it. It's an awful lot of fun. Like I'll definitely be doing this at home with all three of my kids. Really, really fun.